fading skies. Tattered flags waving dreams in our eyes. The crowds roar like a storm on the wind. We're the underdogs fighting again.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to another USMNT live stream here on Stateside Footy, the final match of the 2025 campaign. Obviously, this is going to be a nice little send-off considering that the United States has won 3 out of their last 4, and including a nice little decisive victory over Paraguay in the opener of this international window. God damn it. Fucking A, man, I'm excited for this one. USA versus the mighty Uruguayans, and of course, this is a rematch from the Copa America 2024 match that saw really shitty refereeing, and of course, Uruguay coming away with a 1-0 victory. Of course, this is a much different situation from the last time that these two met. Obviously, Mauricio Pochettino is in. Greg Berhalter is out, and of course, Uruguay has been absolutely struggling recently over the course of the last 10 matches. Not exactly firing on all cylinders. Of course, they're missing 2 of their top goal scorers as well, too. And if you look at their recent run of form, not exactly firing on all cylinders under head coach Marcelo Bielsa. But that being said, let's go ahead and welcome a few people in real quick. We have Sam Wise Edneth is in the house. Here we go. I feel it, man. I'm absolutely happy with this one as well too. Kind of curious to see exactly how this one plays out, and we're going to get into the lineups in just a second. Before I do it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, of course, and make sure you hit the notification bells as well too, because we got a couple more shows set for this week as we wrap up the post November window analysis as well too. So you want to make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of those. All right, let's go ahead and get into it, because the U.S. has a little bit of a different look than we saw against Paraguay. This is your starting 11, and of course the United States obviously is going to continue to play in that 3-4-2-1. Obviously, Matt Freese is going to continue his role as U.S. number 1 between the sticks. No surprises there. I was not expecting any changes for Mauricio Pochettino when it comes to the goalkeeper. It is what it is. He is undoubtedly U.S. number 1, and I think he's actually grown into the position to the point where I think there's a comfortability within Matt Freese, especially whoever's going to be in that back 3, back 5, however you want to chalk it up. I think there's a lot of familiarity, especially with the guys that we expect to be back there. Not so much in this window. I'm talking, of course, the Chris Richards, Tim Ream type of players, and whoever's going to be CB3 back there. But that being said, the progression of Matt Freese since when we saw him at the start of the 2025 season, progressing all the way through, whether that's Nations League, whether that's Gold Cup, whatever the case may be. Matt Freese has really developed into a nice, I guess you can say, solid goalkeeper 1. And it seems like every single window he's getting a little bit better. And I think that actually has to be said. It doesn't really feel like we're cutting in a new goalkeeper at this stage. And from that standpoint, I think there's some comfort in familiarity. In the back line tonight, it's kind of interesting, right? We didn't see Mark McKenzie and Austin Trusty in the first game. Tonight we're going to see them. Now, I don't like the idea of Trusty playing centrally. I prefer him a little bit more on the left, just considering he's a left-footed player. I would much rather have McKenzie playing in the central area. But that being said, McKenzie will be on the left. Trusty will be central, and then Serginho Dest is going to be at the right center back position tonight, which is kind of interesting. And the interesting thing about this is, in some of the things that we saw from Joe Scally getting forward in certain situations in that first game, I would probably assume we're going to see a little bit of that from Serginho Dest. Mauricio Pochettino likes to disguise when he's going to get one of those guys moving forward. And of course, we all know what Serginho Dest means to this attack. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see Dest kind of play a little bit more inverted, picking and choosing when they want to get forward. Of course, the midfield 4 on the left-hand side, on the left wing-back position, it will be John Tolkien. And I'm absolutely happy about this one because, me personally, I believe in John Tolkien. I think he's a phenomenal talent. Obviously, formerly of the New York Red Bull. Now, obviously applies his trade in the second Bundesliga with Holstein Kiel. And on the right side will be Antonio Freeman. Not exactly a surprise that Freeman's getting a start tonight. Makes a tremendous amount of sense. The continued maturation of Antonio Freeman. It almost feels like at this stage you might feel comfortable penciling Freeman's name into the 2026 roster. But that being said, the continuous growth, the maturation of Antonio Freeman, and also a guy like Max Arston as well too. It almost feels like it's going to be a foregone conclusion. The trust factor that Mauricio Pochettino has in Freeman makes a lot of sense, and especially when you look at exactly who's playing in front of him, he's probably going to play a big role tonight. The double pivot is going to be Sebastian Berhalter and Aiden Morris. This one's kind of an interesting because generally speaking, we've seen 2 6s play in this position, whether that was against Japan, whether that was in the last window against Ecuador and Australia. But today there's a little bit of a new wrinkle. Sebastian Berhalter takes his spot in the middle of the park. That's going to open up that's all. Me personally, I think that's going to open up the link-up play. But there's also going to be a potential where Berhalter is going to roam a little higher up the pitch than usual. Same thing with Aiden Morris, depending on the situation. But that being said, it's going to be interesting to see how these two defensively line. Berhalter, whether you like him or not, I'm not 100% sold on his defensive prowess. This seems more like a box-to-box type of situation, but we'll see how that one plays out. The 2 forwards underneath tonight will be Diego Luna off the left-hand side, which I kind of like, and then you're going to have Timothy Tillman playing off the right-hand side, and up top tonight will be Haji Wright. And of course, the last time we saw Haji Wright in a U.S. shirt, he bagged a brace against Australia, so that's going to be absolutely huge. Not exactly the greatest lineup that they could put out tonight, but certainly one where you expect some sort of competitiveness from the U.S. As Samwise Edith says, a little bit of a redemption. Maybe there might be a little bit of a redemption arc. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. And of course, for Uruguay, Marcelo Bielsa is going to line up in a 4-2-3-1. In goal for them will be Flair Marin. Their back line is going to be Nandez, Araujo, Oliveira, and Vina. And of course, the 2 center backs of Araujo and Oliveira. Very solid center back pairing to go along with their goalkeeper. The interesting thing is going to be how they're going to deploy Nandez and Vina. You probably would expect Vina to play a huge part in their attack today. But it's going to be interesting to see exactly how those two are going to be deployed. Are they going to be overlapping? Is one going to invert? That type of thing. So we're gonna find that out as well too. The double pivot for them will be Ugarte and Rodrigo Betancourt. Of course, Ugarte, very solid talent on the club side. And of course, Rodrigo Betancourt plays a massive role for Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. Their attacking three on the right side will be Salazar, and on the left side will be Araujo. The number 10 will be De Arsketa, and up top will be Viñas. And so, the interesting thing about this specific Uruguay group, they're not firing on all cylinders. As a matter of fact, in their last match against Mexico, they played to a 2-2 draw. Their attack looked toothless. And not to talk shit about Uruguay. That's a very good team, qualifying with 28 points in Conmebol. But the reality is this is not the same Uruguayan team that we saw in Copa America 2024. It's something that feels a little bit different. It feels like this team is a little bit old, maybe a little bit long in the tooth. But that being said, it is a Bielsa-led team. And from that standpoint, you can never necessarily count them out. And it looks like the players are about ready to come onto the pitch. As we look at, let's see. Sorry, my last name is fake. Yeah, I figured. You can tell. You can just call me Samwise if it's easier. Not long until kickoff. Can't wait for your stream. Can't wait for your stream through this one. I appreciate it, man. The interesting thing about the U.S. When it comes to this one is the fact that over the course of 2025, as the U.S. fans, I guess you can say morale for the U.S. men's national team had almost felt like it reached an all-time low. One of the things that I was consistent in saying is that it does, like, to change a culture and to change the attitude, to change the way that players approach, it was not going to happen overnight. Regardless of the cachet of a guy of Mauricio Pochettino and just what he means and what the name brings, it was going to be hard to change the culture overnight because of what this national team essentially had turned into. A lot of these guys were comfortable. And make no mistake, the inmates ruled the asylum when it came to this national team. There was a reason why a lot of these international windows were treated like vacations. Not a lot of seriousness came into these type of windows. As a matter of fact, it was a way for certain guys to get together to have lunch or have dinner, go golfing, some of these type of things. And very rarely did the national team actually play with any type of seriousness. It almost felt like the only way that this team really took it seriously is if they were playing a major tournament, whether that was Copa America, whether it was the World Cup. It almost felt like they would just come together when it necessarily mattered and hope that a switch just kind of turned and they were able to turn it on. Come a major tournament. Very rarely did they actually show up for friendlies and take it seriously. On one hand, you're like, well, yeah, dude, it's CONCACAF, right? It's kind of hard to get up to play a Panama or a Canada, especially if you guys have played them 20 times in 3 years. I can understand it from that standpoint. But that being said, it's an opportunity to wear your country's crest. And it just felt like the importance of the national team kind of fell a little bit by the wayside. And one of the things that Mauricio Pochettino wanted to install was that love for representing the crest and actually what it meant, what it means to actually wear the crest. And the ability to come in, and it's not a vacation. It's not a time to joke around. It's a time to actually get serious and take certain things seriously, because at the end of the day, it's like, he's the type of coach where it's like, if you're going to take it for granted, you're not going to be around. And we saw Gio Reyna not be a part of this team for well over a year. We haven't seen Yunus Musa in a long time. We didn't see Scally for a long time. And a lot of this was, by design, because if you're going to come here and act like it's a joke, you're not going to be around. And so from that standpoint, I love the fact that he was drawing a line in the sand. And it took a while, right? And I thought that this team really kind of came together as a program during the Gold Cup. Was it our most prolific roster during the Gold Cup? No, but that being said, you started to see the signs that things were pointing in the right direction during the Gold Cup, where you saw certain moments where this team came together, where this team was fighting for each other, and that from that standpoint, that was everything. And then, of course, as we got into the September window and as we got into the October window, and we actually started seeing this team, play with a sense of purpose, with a sense of intensity. And from that standpoint, it almost feels like that is kind of done. Like the talk about whether or not this team has heart, or talking about whether this team is playing with purpose, I think that's completely done. I think now we can actually look at some of these performances from an individual standpoint, or from a game by game type of perspective about whether or not whether it's a tactical ability, or whether it's whatever. From that standpoint, I like that too, because one of the things I never wanted to get into was talk about whether or not this team had heart, because I don't want to question soccer players whether or not they actually give a damn. But that being said, I like the way that Mauricio Pochettino has handled his business, bringing a sense of urgency into the group. And now that we are less than 9 months away from World Cup 2026, it feels like this team is peaking at the right time. And that's something that you want heading into a World Cup year, because obviously after tonight, the next international window is not going to be until March. So it's going to be a long time before this group can get back together. And you want to finish this year off on a high note and and kind of build a little bit of a groundswell, to that March window. Like that is what you want if you're a US fan. If they're able to get a result tonight against Uruguay, and now all of a sudden you finish 2025 winning 4 out of 5, and now all of a sudden it's going to be a few months until we see these guys again. By the time March rolls around, I would probably assume that fans of this national team are going to be absolutely jacked up for that March window when we get Portugal. So a lot of this rides on what's going to happen tonight, and whether or not this U.S. men's national team can back up what I considered was one of their best performances of 2025 against Paraguay. If they're able to take this match after Uruguay, control the game on their terms, instead of being reactionary to what Uruguay is going to do, and being able to put themselves in a position where they can get another 2-1 win, 3-1 win, something like that. And all of a sudden, man, I think all of us are going to be licking their chops for that March window. So it looks like the players are on the pitch right now, and it looks like the Uruguayan national anthem has finished, and it looks like the Star Spangled Banner is being performed right now. So we are just a few minutes away. We are just a few minutes away from kickoff tonight in Tampa, Florida. It's going to be interesting, right? I don't know how I feel about the forwards tonight. Listen, man, say what you will about Timothy Tillman. I guess you can say pretty decent MLS player, not the greatest MLS player. But that being said, it's like I'm curious to see exactly how this one will play out. I'm kind of surprised that Brendan Aronson didn't get another go. And whether or not that these two guys are going to be able to be, the creative force that is going to be able to spring a guy like Haji Wright. Haji Wright is one of those type of guys where you almost feel like you have to be direct with them. Like that's the type of style of play where you're going to be able to get the most. But that being said, he's also a big body, so he's also pretty good in hold-up play. And he's also good, especially if you want to play off the wings and ping balls into the box. He's not Flo Balogun. Let's understand that. He's not that type of talent. But there are certain intangibles that he has where if you actually give him service in the right areas, he can absolutely be deadly. So we saw that against Australia. The question is Haji Wright good enough in the channels against these two center backs who are actually very good center backs. So we'll see. We'll see how this one plays out. I'm not exactly sold on this starting 11 for the United States. I wonder where the creativity is going to be coming from. But that being said, man, certain things have surprised me before. So it looks like the Star Spangled Banner is complete. And it looks like we are almost ready for kickoff. So let me know exactly how you guys feel about tonight's starting 11. Let me know exactly what you think how this game is going to play out. So give me your predictions. The chat, drop it in the chat. And let me know who your man of the match is going to be too. If this is going to be a US victory, give me your score prediction and who you believe the man of the match will be. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think yesterday I predicted the 2-1 U.S. victory. So I'm going to stick with the 2-1 U.S. victory. And now that we know exactly who is going to be, let me see who is going to be my goal scorers today. I'll say Diego Luna gets one. And I'll say Sebastian Berhalter gets one from the mid. Those are my goal scorers. And I think man of the match is going to be, who's my man of the match? That's a great question. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Luna. I don't know who my man of the match is. Yeah, I don't know. That's too much for me, but I do think that Luna will get a goal. I think Berhalter will get a goal, and I want to welcome my guy Ace. Ace is in the house. Ace, what's going on with you, Mike? What's going on with you, my guy? How do you feel about the starting 11 tonight? I think there's going to be some concerns. Actually, I think the strong area of the pitch is going to be on the defensive side. I'm actually okay with that back three. I'm curious to see what Austin Trusty looks like with the U.S. shirt. I would rather see him on the left-hand side instead of central. But that being said, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this back three, this back five is going to operate. The question is who's going to be the guy responsible for the link-up play? Also, the impact of Diego Luna and Timmy Tillman and how that's going to affect Haji Wright. That's the thing. I don't think there's enough creativity out there today, but we're about to find out. So it looks like the huddle is done. It looks like players are taking their spots as we're getting ready for this opening kick. There's Saba right there, Mr. Berhalter. And the U.S. will be playing from right to left. And we are underway here in Tampa, Florida. And it looks like Trusty will send this one forward down the right-hand line, right down the right-hand touch line. That's going to drop. As Luna tried to play one forward, that's going to get deflected all the way back, and the U.S. will have to chase. As McKenzie will play it all the way to Dest. And it will land at the feet of Austin Trusty, who plays it all the way back to Matt Freeze, who plays it back to Trusty. So the U.S. resets here. As Trusty tried to play one forward, that's going to get deflected. And we have our first whistle. As there's head coach Maurizio Pochettino, who is 12-2-7 as the U.S. head coach, as Uruguay will hold possession here, as Uruguay will continue to hold possession. It looked like there might have been a challenge right there, but Uruguay will reset as that ball lands back at the feet of their center back, who's going to play this all the way back to their keeper. And they will reset now. As the U.S. now will set up their press. And it looks like Tillman did a very good job Oh, and here comes Uruguay as Diego Luna couldn't control that one. As they're going to try to press forward. Looks like it was Rodrigo Betancourt right there. That was a nice 1-2s down the right-hand side touchline right here by Uruguay. As they're going to play one down, and that's going to be a little too far forward as that gets out for a U.S. throw-in. We basically got a sink or swim situation for these players. I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. As Marcelo Bielsa is 15-10-6 as head coach of Uruguay, as that ball will get out past the end line. So this will be a free kick for the U.S. As we have ourselves another whistle right there. It looks like Alex Freeman will hit the deck right there as Araujo apply pressure. Ooh. That was more than just a little bit of pressure right there. And that ball's taken away. Oh, nice job right there by the U.S. to regain possession. As the Uruguayan press right there has done a very good job. As that ball gets tipped out by De Arsketa, as the U.S. will bomb this one down, and that'll get out for a Uruguay throw-in. So we are 3.5 minutes in, as both teams are trying to establish their sides here. As that ball gets played up, tried to make the switch, but right there, it looks like it was Austin Trusty. Here's Freeman, who's going to play one forward. Looking for Serginho Dest, and it's Dest who makes the rip right there. Nice ball handling right there by Serginho Dest. As they're going to make the switch to the left-hand side. Here's John Tolkien. Gets around a man. Tolkien will lay this off to Luna, who's got to play it back, and Berhalter plays it all the way back. As it'll be McKenzie who play it off to Freeman. And it's Serginho Dest. As there's nothing there, as that gets played all the way back to Freeman. As that ball's going to get tipped forward. Held in by the U.S. Good pass right there. As that ball makes its way to the outside, tried to swing one in. That's going to get deflected out. And it looks like this will be the U.S.'s first corner here. Good ball movement right there by Serginho Dest. That was a nice little turn back to the outside right there. As Serginho Dest absolutely has some handles. So this will be John Tolkien taking the corner here. As the U.S. will set up for their first corner. As that ball gets played, back post, headed away. And it looks like there's going to be a whistle here, as it looks like somebody is down on the turf for Uruguay. Looks like that might have been Ugarte, but what's funny is that was Araujo. The interesting thing about it is, there was no contact on that jump ball. It looks like the ball just caromed off the head. As here comes Uruguay. They're going to play this one forward. Too far over the head, as the U.S. will retain possession. That one's taken away. That's good. That's a good pressure. That's a good press right there. Because that'll get out. And I believe this will be a U.S. throw in here, and it will be. As Freeman will play this in, as that one was nearly nicked right there. As it finds its way all the way back to Matt Freese, and the U.S. will reset. That's nice handles right there. As Haji Wright will hold possession. But here comes Uruguay. Good press right there. As the U.S. will try to set up here. As they're going to play this all the way up to the right-hand side. Here's Freeman. Freeman's going to cut in. Freeman's going to play one. Ooh, and it just goes way, 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 way wide. And it looked like was that as we see this one again, I'm just kind of curious if this was a cross. Looks like it was deflected. As Uruguay will have the goal kick here. As the U.S. are doing a very good job of trying to pin Uruguay back. As the keeper is going to have to sky one. That's going to come down to U.S. possession. As the U.S. will reset, it's Austin Trusty who will play it back. And there's nothing there, so the U.S. will have to reset. And it's Trusty who crosses the midway line. As they're going to play this one direct. Here's Haji, who tried to make a turn and fire. That one gets deflected. And it looks like Uruguay is going to try to break here. Nice play by Diego Luna, try to break it up. As Uruguay will hold possession here. Good press right there for the U.S. As Uruguay will reset here. And it's Arugio off the right-hand touchline. We'll play it centrally. And they're now going to try to play this down the left-hand side. Here's Arugio against Freeman. Cuts in. Looks like it took a deflection, but Uruguay will hold possession. As now they'll play this out centrally and quickly. Uruguay will play this back to one of their center backs here. The U.S. are doing a good job, of cutting passing lanes here. As we have ourselves a whistle here. Your guy Arugio. Which one? Just out of curiosity, Ace. Which Arugio are you talking about? Ronald Arugio. As this will be a free kick deep in the U.S. territory here. Dangerous position off the left-hand side. As that ball gets played into the back post. And there's Matt Breeze. Good keeping right there by Matt Breeze. Here come the U.S. Here's Luna. Nice little touch right there by Luna. As that gets deflected backwards. And Trusty now will play it to the right-hand side. And it looks like it's Alex Freeman. Here's Trusty. And we have ourselves a whistle here. As it looks like Tolkien will hit the deck. As looks like he was sandwiched in between. Looks like it was Salazar. As Tolkien was caught off the left-hand touchline right there. As we have Cecile Adnally in the house. What's going on, Cecile? And it looks like there's going to be another whistle as Aiden Morris will go down as he fixes boots. It looks like Uruguay is starting to play a little bit more physical as Diego Luna will hit the restart here, as this will get played all the way back to Matt Freeze. As that gets played forward, tipped up by Haji Wright. That'll come down to Diego Luna, who tries to play one through. That gets deflected. And we will see if Uruguay will try to hit the U.S. back quick. And the United States did a very good job of getting back into position, as Uruguay now is forced to play back as they look for a way forward here, as that one swings all the way to the right-hand side. That ball gets played forward a little too far forward, as Tolkien will play this all the way back to Freeze, and the U.S. will reset here. No shots for either team. As we are now 13 minutes into the first half. As Trusty will lay this off to Sebastian Berhalter. And Aiden Morris again will play one forward. Nice little touch right there from Diego Luna. And that one gets played out for a U.S. throw-in. As the U.S. will try to set up on Uruguay quick. Excuse me. Long day. As they try to play somebody forward. The only person that there was Uruguay's keeper. And Uruguay will try to play this one forward. Oh, it's taken away by Haji Wright as it gets deflected back. Oh, and that's going to be a free kick. As Haji will go down just outside the box off the left-hand side. And it looks like it was Ugarte, the guilty party here. As the U.S. now will have their first real opportunity here. As Ugarte does what he's supposed to do, not allow entry into the box. You know what's funny, Ace? I don't think so either. So this will be a U.S. free kick right on the outside of the 18-yard box off the left-hand side. And it looks like it'll be Sebastian Berhalter taking this free kick here. Can the U.S. cash in? Can the U.S. cash in here? As Saba raises hands, here's the ball delivery. And, and the ball goes in, but there was a whistle. As we sort this one out here. And it looks like Trusty gets mauled down. So we will start this one over again. So it'll be Berhalter one more time. Excuse me. As that ball gets played short, here's Berhalter. Oh, it's a goal! Sebastian Berhalter. What a strike right there. What a strike. And Berhalter's fired up, Holmes, as the U.S. grab an early 1-0 lead. As that ball was played short, and it was just quickly played back to Sebastian Berhalter, who finds space. As we see this one again. In space, what a goal. What a goal. As, yeah, you're right. It only took 16 minutes in this one. And the U.S. will grab a early 1-0 lead. That was a hell of a strike by Sebastian Berhalter. As we look at it again, that ball was clean. Into the back of the net. Take notes, El Tree. I like it. I like it. Throwing a little shade at Mexico as we replay here. And there's going to be a whistle. As Sebastian Berhalter. Well, one of my 2 goal scorers have already scored. I said Diego Luna and Sebastian Berhalter score the goals. 1 of 1 so far. As Uruguay is trying to pace itself down the left-hand side. It's tipped out, so this will be a throw-in for Uruguay. As play resumed, as they work it all the way to the right side now. As that ball gets tipped forward, and there's Matt Freese. So again, another squandered opportunity for Uruguay. As we see it again, back post. And Berhalter, it was just put in a good spot. It's open space, and Berhalter just nails it. Here come the U.S., and that's going to get tipped to John Tolkien. Good way to preserve possession here. As that ball is going to get played forward, he's got a man. It's Tolkien. Tolkien's going to try to play one in. That gets deflected out. Yeah. Good run right there by Tolkien down the left-hand side with nothing but acreage. That was a good job right there by Uruguay to close it down. So it'll be Berhalter now taking the corner. Can the U.S. extend their lead here? As that ball gets played into the back post, and it goes in again. That's a headed goal. Alex Freeman. And it's 2-0. 2-0 U.S. here. 20 minutes in. As Alex Freeman will grab the second, and it looks like Uruguay is absolutely stunned. And again, perfect delivery right there by Sebastian Berhalter. He essentially finds Alex Freeman unmarked. That was just a beautiful finish right there by Freeman. No shot for the goalkeeper. And it's 2-0 U.S. I know, Sam Wise. I feel the exact same way. And now all of a sudden the U.S. extend their lead to 2. As we're at the 20-minute mark here. As the U.S. try to continue to push up, but that one's going to get out of play. As Serginho Dest was trying to get around the corner there. This will be a Uruguay throw-in here. And that's going to get out. That'll be a U.S. throw-in. As the U.S. press is doing its job.
By the way, that was Alex Freeman's first international goal, as that ball will end up into the hands of the goalkeeper for Uruguay, as Uruguay now will reset down to essentially 22 minutes in. Okay. Yeah, I hear you, Ace. I hear you. I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know it necessarily to make of this lineup, but I certainly didn't think they would score 2 in 20. But it is what it is. I'm quite happy. As that ball gets played forward, and Uruguay will try to hold possession here. Good piece of dribbling right here. As it looks like they dribble their way out of the press. Here comes Uruguay now up the left-hand side. And immediately that's going to get switched to the right. Nice play right there. Was that Diego? You know it was. Diego Luna. Nice little sliding tackle. I think that gets out, though. It will for a corner. As we're in the 23rd minute now. As we are ready for this this cross. As that'll go in, headed backwards. Kept in by Uruguay. Tried to take a shot. That one gets deflected and blocked. Nice little touch pass right here for the U.S. As they'll try to play this off to the left. Here's John Tolkien. Diego Luna. Here's Luna. Trying to get around the corner. As he goes down, no foul. Taken away. Oh, nearly the third. I would agree with that as well, too. Took too much time. That was a good piece. That was a good shot right there. The question is whether or not that was offside. They're going to say no. Yep, 100%. As John Tolkien will be responsible for this corner here. As that ball gets whipped in, back post. And there's another whistle. That'll go against the U.S. So the U.S. leads 2-0 as we approach the 25th minute here in the first half. As the U.S. continues to apply a little bit of pressure here. Yeah. And here comes Uruguay. As they try to play this centrally. Good pass right there. As Uruguay will hold possession here. As they're going to try to play this centrally. As Luna will converge off the right-hand side. Taken away by Berhalter. Here comes the U.S. on the break. They're going to try to play this one forward. Not so much as that's taken away. As here comes Uruguay across the the midway line. Here comes Uruguay down the right-hand side. 1v1. They're going to have to lay this one back. For those that are just tuning in, the U.S. scored 2 within the first 20 minutes and currently lead 2-0. Goals by Sebastian Berhalter and Alex Freeman. As they may play this out to the right. As that ball will go in, but it's going to take a deflection off of Diego Luna. So this will get out, I believe, for a Uruguay corner kick. Excuse me. I am tired. As that ball gets played into the box, headed on down, cleared. Oh, that was a rocket that hit the crossbar. Good deflection right there. As Uruguay nearly pulled one back right there. That was an absolute missile that hit the crossbar. Let's see. You know what's crazy? That Dest and Arujo were once teammates playing in Barcelona's back line. Yeah. It is funny to think about now. As Uruguay now will try to play this down to the right-hand side. There's nothing there. Taken away by the U.S. Try to play it forward. Here's Haji right trying to get around. And that'll get out. And I believe this is going to be another corner here. Oh, that was an absolute rocket as it pings off the crossbar. Golly. As John Tolkien will take another corner here for the U.S. As we're approaching the 30th minute. In about 30-ish seconds here. As Tolkien will play one back post. Oh, headed forward. And it looked like it was, it might have been Austin Trusty right there. As we see it again. No, that was Freeman. It was Freeman. Right there at the back post. Look at Freeman. Look at Freeman, man. And they're going to say this deflected off a Uruguayan defender here. So the U.S. will do it again. As we're 10 seconds into the 30th minute here. As he'll try to go short, that one's going to get headed out. As the U.S. will try to keep it deep. As he's going to play this one down. The left-hand side. Oh, nice tackle. As they're going to play this one in. Here's Haji. Oh, he scores! Oh, it was Freeman. It's a route. It's a route. Unbelievable. Good way to hold it in. It was Freeman who drove the box. Nice little give and go as Freeman made the run in. And he just beats 3 defenders to the near post and puts one in. Holy shit. What has gotten into the U.S. men's national team? Oh, man, this is fun to watch. And Freeman's got a brace. Is this, by the way, is this the Alex Freeman coming out party? Samwise, come on now. Come on now. And Bielsa can't stand it. As Alex Freeman has been the death to Uruguay. Look at Bielsa. He's pissed. All right, Samwise, calm down, bud. Calm down. As that one will get out. And it looks like 2 Uruguayan attackers are down. Good play right there by McKenzie. Beating the angle right there to get to the ball. So this will be a corner here for Uruguay. As that ball goes in. Freeze tried to punch it, but it stays held in by Uruguay now. As they'll switch to the left-hand side. That ball goes in. Automatically cleared out. The Uruguay will hold it in here. Good ball forward. Nobody's there. Except the U.S. defender. And they'll play this forward. And that one's taken away. Here comes Uruguay. 3 goals, essentially in the first 30 minutes, as the U.S. lead 3-0 here in the first half. This was nice. This was a pleasant surprise. Here comes Uruguay down the right-hand side. As they try to play this centrally, that's a nice little pass right there. And taken off the ball. But held in. And that shot, I have no idea what that shot was. Let's see. The game is going to either be on Amazon Prime or Peacock. Or Telemundo. So yeah, I know I'm late to the stream, but not been arrogant here, but no way this Uruguay team. There's no way that. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Even if it's not, you still have to play what's in front of you, and they've absolutely smashed them. And by the way, I think they're playing their first choice back line as well too. I know that there's no Darwin Nunez. They don't have their 2 top goal scorers. As they're going to try to play this off to the left-hand side. Nice little give and go right here. Here comes Uruguay. And here come the U.S. Here's Tolkien. And Tolkien's going to have to play this one back. And there's Freeze. Here's McKenzie. As Luna came out of nowhere to make that deep touch right there. Trying to turn the corner. Luna tried to play one forward. Looking for Haji Wright. As we're now in the 36th minute. The United States leading 3-0. 2 by Freeman. 1 by Berhalter. As they'll try to play this one forward. Nice little tap right there, but not strong enough as that one gets played all the way back to the keeper. And Uruguay will reset. Excuse me. As we are in the 37th minute now, as we are approaching the end of the first half. Taken away by the U.S. Good pass right there. As Berhalter will try to play it forward. Here's Tolkien. Nice little flip by Tolkien. Oh, he tried to slide one in. Fortunately, there was nobody there in the box, so that'll get out for a U.S. throw in here. There's Bielsa. That's a good ball forward. Aji tried to center one. That gets tipped away. As that'll get out. Looks like for a Uruguay throw in here. Good defense right there by John Tolkien. As play resumes here. As they play this back to their keeper, who automatically plays it forward. As Uruguay will try to clear it. As the U.S. has been all business tonight. Surgical and lethal. As here comes Uruguay off the right-hand side. And we have a whistle. And they will say offside. As he didn't like the call there. As this will be a U.S. goal kick here. As it looks like Freeze is going to pull everyone down, as Freeze will boot this one forward. As that gets headed forward. There's Tillman. Too heavy of a touch as that ball gets taken away. As Uruguay is trying to play out of pressure here. That gets tipped back. Trying to see if they can play their way back into this one, although they're down 3. As we approach the 40th minute here. As here come the U.S. There's Dest. As that was a nice little chip right there, but good goalkeeping right there by Uruguay. As we will start again. As we are in the 41st minute here. As that ball tries to get played forward, there's just nobody there except for Freeze. And the U.S. will restart. 3 goal contributions tonight, including a brace from Alex Freeman. Here's Trusty. Going to try to play one forward. He finds Tolkien. That's a nice little ball forward. As they try to center it. Oh! Diego Luna. And it's 4-0 United States. And this is an absolute ass whooping for the United States. As that ball just goes to a central area, there's Diego Luna to clean it. Start bringing on the subs. As Ace Lionel. Pot start bringing in the subs. This one's over. I'll tell you what's going on. 11, 12 months of frustration. Unearthed against Uruguay. This is not only get back, but this is kind of like a humiliating get back. As the United States have put in 4 on the board here the first half. And I think that was Diego's first goal since July 7th. As that ball gets played forward. And there's a whistle there. As Trusty gets whistled for the infraction right there. What on earth is going on? As that ball tries to get played forward. Tipped over. Oh, nice move into the box. Oh, it goes wide. Good ball move in the box right there. As Aiden Morris tried to switch it, trying to clean it. As De Araceta pushes it wide. As we have a whistle here. As we restart. As Uruguay tries to push him up the right side. As that one will get out for a Uruguay throw-in here. You think? You think Joshua would be feasting in this matchup? Maybe. As Uruguay we'll try to get start quick. That's a nice little. Ooh, good defense right there by the U.S. As it's held in by Uruguay. Trying to get around the corner. Oh, did Uruguay just score? Yeah, they just did. As Uruguay gets one back, as we are approaching the end of the first half here. As we see it again. As home tune. Oh, that was a bicycle kick, but still. Good goal. And it looks like we've reached the end of the first half here. With the U.S. leading 4-1 as they conceded right at the end of the first half. As we look at the stats, the first half stats. With the U.S. leading 4-1. Goals by Berhalter and Luna and a double by Freeman. As the Uruguay leads the possession battle, 58-42. Total shots, US 7, Uruguay 6. Shots on target, 5 for the US, Uruguay 1. Big chances, the US 2, Uruguay 1. Accurate passes, Uruguay 215 to the US 145. Fouls committed, US 5, Uruguay 4. And the US leads the corner battle 5-3. As we look at shots inside the box, the US 6, Uruguay 3. Shots outside the box, 3-1 to Uruguay. As Uruguay leads in the block shots department 3-2. As we look at passes, 248 total to 176. Passes in the own half, Uruguay 112, the US 76. Passes in the opposition half, 93 to Uruguay, 69 for the US. Accurate long balls, 15 for Uruguay, 11 for the US. Accurate crosses, 3-2 US. Throws and touches in the opposition box, US leads that one 15-8. So when I look at this match, you can see that the US has done, a remarkable job in that first half, putting 4 past. They did concede one right there at the end. And I would probably agree with you on this one, Ace. As we are at the half, what do I want to do real quick? As we look at the World Cup qualifiers here for CONCACAF. In Group A, Panama and Suriname are top that group at 9 points. In Group B, Curacao leads the Reggae Boys by a point, 11-10. In Group C, Honduras and Haiti are tied at 8. Interesting. Haiti is still very much in it. Jamaica is still very much in it. And, of course, the winner of Group A, whether it's Suriname or Panama, World Cup qualifying is absolutely red hot in CONCACAF. That's going to be interesting. But that being said, before we put our cart before the horse, the U.S. has done a brilliant job here in the first half. 4 goals, all beautiful goals, and of course Freeman with the double. Pretty much the United States has been able to get forward as much as they want. And it starts with the Sebastian Berhalter goal, which was just an absolute beauty. Freeman gets 2, and then Diego Luna gets 1. As the U.S. leads 4-1. And, of course, Uruguay gets one right at the half, as essentially the U.S. got a little burn there. It looks like Ace is pointing fingers at Matt Freese here. As we look at this right here, look at that. I don't know. One of the big things about Matt Freese is he's not necessarily an aggressive goalie, so he's more or less gonna stay on his 6-yard line right there. As we are looking at highlights here for the first half, and I give a lot of kudos to Matt Freese He's actually done a pretty good job. But that being said, with Venezuela, not Venezuela, for the Uruguay coming back to the United States here, he was going to be big. Beautiful goals from the U.S. Well, yeah. Well, he's not an aggressive keeper. He likes to live on his on his goal line there. Just like that goal against Paraguay. I know there was a lot of people blaming Matt Freese for that one as well too, and it's like, nah. He just didn't have he didn't have an athletic step to get it. When it comes to this one as well too, it's like, it shouldn't have gotten to Freese. As we are watching a Mexican iPhone commercial here. Or is that a Google Pixel? Who really gives a shit? iPhone 17. So I guess the question is for you guys out there. I guess the question for you is, are the U.S. done scoring? Are they going to continue to take it from Uruguay? Or will calmer heads prevail? Or because of the conflict of interest, How do I feel about Haji getting a start over Pepe? That's a great question. I can understand why he did it, but that being said, it's like you would think that Pepe would get significant minutes in this window. Sure enough, he's been kind of relegated back to a to a background character in his own family. As we are getting started for the start of the second half here. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. We cannot let the foot off the accelerator. I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree. Like we gotta open the second half in the first 10 minutes by putting number 5 past him. That will really, really galvanize this win. The real question is what is Potch's team talking to have? As we are getting close here. As we are getting started for the second half here. As we're here at the halftime. What did you so hold on real quick. So does that mean Haji is their number 2 striker in the pool? Yeah, probably. Most likely Haji, not Haji, but most likely Pepe. But that being said, right? Like I would expect, Potts to play today. Not necessarily try to shut the door. As that's electric first half, man. As it looks like students about to teach the teacher a lesson. As we are waiting for the start of the second half here. I highly doubt we're going to see changes at the half. We might. I would probably assume that's probably going to be in the 55th to 65th minute, somewhere in that little 10-minute range. Oh, what a first half. What a first half of the U.S. men's national team as they came out and absolutely made a statement in the first 20 minutes as they get two. But as the half progresses, all of a sudden, Uruguay's back line opens up. While the U.S. gets credit for the four goals, the reality is that they did give up one. Who gets subbed out first? I don't know. That's a great play. That's a great question. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Without a doubt, Ace, Uruguay absolutely does not have their pieces. As I'll be back in just 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Oh. Oh. All right. And we are back. Blah, blah, blah. And we are back for the second half of the U.S. versus Uruguay. For those that are just turning in, the U.S. absolutely demolished Uruguay in the first half. Wide open spaces that the U.S. took absolute advantage of that back line for Uruguay to the tune of 4 goals. Berhalter and Luna scored. And, of course, Alex Freeman bagged a double. And coming into this one, when you saw the starting 11, you were wondering where the creativity was going to come from. Sure enough, the U.S. did an absolutely phenomenal job of absolutely, abusing their back line. And when you look at the way that Uruguay was trying to attack, just absolutely toothless in every single way. You know, I was kind of curious to see exactly how this backline would perform for the U.S. So far, they've held up absolutely well. And that's despite not necessarily getting a lot of a lot of good stuff down the left-hand line. It always seemed like it was plugged down the right hand, which is fine. But that being said, it's like when you look at the way that the U.S. were, U.S. attacked, Luna gets one off the left side right there. Freeman gets his second off the left right there. But that being said, it's like, they're finding finding creative ways to find space. And when they're taking their opportunities, they are absolutely punishing Uruguay. This is a far cry from what we saw a year and a half ago at Copa America. But that being said, it's like this was quite honestly like the best, course of action as we are getting set for the start of the second half here. And there's Ace's guy right there, Mr. Ronald Araujo. As we are ready to go, as Uruguay will attack from right to left, as the U.S. now will be playing, I guess you can say, to the south end right here. And here comes the U.S. now getting forward, as that one's going to have to get played back, and the U.S. will reset here as he finds Mark McKenzie, as they're essentially, what feels like they're just playing two deep high center backs right there. As here's Luna. And that ball gets turned over right there. Held in by the U.S. Good passing right there. As that will come down. It looks like Brian Rodriguez is in. Salazar is out. Rodrigo Aguirre is in. And what was it? Fernando Velez is out. As the U.S. try to counter it there and try to break, but good defense right there from Uruguay. As that ball's going to go up a little centrally this time on the ground. As that one will make it down the left-hand sideline. And they'll have to turn around and try it again. As Uruguay did make 3 subs to start the second half. As play resumes. As the U.S. did a good job right there, trying to get into the box. Good play right there. Taking away shot. Ooh, nice save. As that one will go down, as Uruguay trying to be a little bit more direct. And there's a whistle. As that'll be a free kick. Play is resumed. They're going to try one playing down the right-hand touchline. Coming down. Trying to find a runner. They couldn't. It looks like that ball's taken away by the U.S. As we figure out what's going on here. Here come the. And we have ourselves another whistle. And it looks like as we see this again, it looks like it was Rodrigo Betancourt. As on the ground is John Tolkien. And coming up now is John Tolkien. As we find out what this brouhaha is all about. All right. That's Freeman. Nice way to cut through. As that moves all the way to the right-hand side. As looks like the U.S. was trying to play through it. And there'll be a quick whistle here. As we are, 50 minutes through this one. As it looks like Serginho may have been the guilty party, but plays restarted from a different position. So as here comes Uruguay now, trying to play it forward. As Uruguay will have possession here. As that's a good turnover right there. Here come the U.S. to the outside. And it looked like Haji went up there to make a play, as that ball will come down. And that was a good clearance right there. And Uruguay is going to have to reset up. As there's a whistle. As play resumes here. As Uruguay will try to reset. As that ball tries to get played forward, there's just nobody there. As it looks like players are warming up. As Uruguay now is going to try to build it down to the left-hand side. as the U.S. have done a very good job cutting down certain elements, cutting down the wings. There's just nothing there. As they'll try to set up this one again. As they play all the way to the right. As that one will get out. And it looks like Trusty did a very good job right there. As we see it again, Trusty does a very good job to preserve that goal kick right there. As this will begin a goal kicking sequence right here. As this one will go all the way back. As we will try to reset that. It was good pressing right there. As this ball will be thrown in. That's a good throw in right there. As they try to pull it on, but Freeze is there to boot this one out. As we will reset here. As it looks like Uruguay is trying to set up here. Good ball movement from the U.S. as that's a nice little ball right over there. And we'll try this one again. As we see it again. Yeah, I felt like that might have been felt like that would have been a corner. As that ball's going to get played short. And they're going to wind one up and try to take one. That hits off the wall. As the U.S. does a good job of keeping it in LA's territory. And that's a good D right there. As we are in the 57th minute. As the U.S. will have to throw in here. As that'll get down the line here. As looks like there's a player down. That's a nice little run right there by Sebastian. As this will be a free kick. As we're almost ready for this one. As that ball will get played in, headed out. Nearly kept in. And it will get kept. It will get kept in. As that gets played all the way back to Freeze. As here come the U.S. trying to tip this on. There's nobody there. Here comes Uruguay. As that ball goes in, and that's going to get headed away. As we're about to head into the 60th minute here. That's Rodrigo Betancourt there. And it looks like there's going to be a triple change here for the U.S. As looks like Gio Reyna's coming in for the U.S. Here comes Tanner Tessman. It's going to be Tessman for Dest. Balogun for Haji. And Reyna for Luna. So with Seattle leading by 3, they're bringing in a couple of the heavies here. Yep, no Pepe. Maybe a little bit later on. As that ball gets booted up. As this will be a Uruguay throw-in. As we are the 61st minute now. Yes, they're going to work this one down, but there's a whistle. Here come the U.S. As they got trapped on the touchline there. And on the turf. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. The question is of whether it was malicious or not. It looks like there's a Uruguayan player down there suffering from a gunshot wound or a proper stabbing. And it looks like Uruguay is going to make some changes here. They did get one right back before the half. As Bielsa is giving instructions here. As looks like this will be a goal kick here. As we are in the 63rd minute now. As Maurizio looks on, got to be pleased. That's a good pass. Tipped away. As that gets held in by the U.S., but it looks like as it looks like it might be Berhalter down. And, oh, yeah, there's a red card Is that against Betancourt? As we see it again. And it looks like he came in studs high. As we see it again. Yep, studs high on Bearhalter. As Rodrigo Betancourt will go out with a red card. The Tottenham Hotspur product. And now all of a sudden, Uruguay will play the final 25 minutes. Down a man. As Betancourt has been kicked out. So the U.S. now will play up a man advantage for the rest of the time. Beg your pardon. As Betancourt's night is done. Maybe a little aggressive. I don't think it needed it. Well, I guess, if you're going by the letter of the law, yeah. But, there could be some discrepancy used. As Uruguay will make another change here. As we are getting set here. As we find out what's going on here. As they're waiting for the whistle here to resume play. As Uruguay will make another switch here. And it looks like we're underway. As, that was a bad touch right there, which nearly got away. As the U.S. will try to press forward. Oh. As there's Gio. And now that ball's going to get pinged in, and it's going to go in. Tanner. And it's 5-1 USA. 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 What a goal. And there is just absolutely no back line. As we see it again. Off the corner here. Tipped in, and there was just Tanner Jessman right there, unmarked. And it looked like that Uruguay was just ball watching here. As the U.S. have just turned it on and poured it on Uruguay. Unreal. I don't think By the way, I don't think anybody had this on our bingo card tonight. 5 goals by the U.S. And by the way, that was Tessman's first international goal for the U.S. as play is resumed. As they're going to try to play this forward. No Candice. Here comes the U.S. And they're going to have to try to play this one back. As that'll go all the way back. As they try to play this one forward. As Uruguay here will hold possession. As we are now in the 70th minute, 20 minutes to play. Taken away by the U.S. And they'll say Uruguay throw it. I guess if I would have to pick a man of the match right now, probably Freeman. Although there has been some outstanding performances tonight, Tessman included. Yep, I would agree. There's Timmy Ream. As play resumes. As that ball's taken away. And there's a whistle. And as we see this again, I don't think so at all. Yeah, there was absolutely no contact. All right, maybe a little contact. But the U.S. now leads 5-1 as we're now in the 72nd minute, and it looks like there's going to be some good old-fashioned time wasting here. As it looks like, it looks like Uruguay is just going to take their time. As the U.S. side is just warming up. As Tim Ream is looking on. And it's Tolkien who's down here. And up on his feet is Tolkien. And it looks like Arfston and Aronson are coming in for the U.S. as Tolkien will come off. As Arfston will come in for Tolkien. Good match for Tolkien. That's good D right there, as that'll get out for a corner. As Austin Trusty did a great job right there. As this will be A Uruguay corner. As here comes Arston now. As Aronson will come in for Tillman. Not a bad. I wouldn't say the greatest debut for Tillman. Not exactly the worst. Although did not help us in the ways that you expect from a forward. So here comes Brendan Aronson now. And I like this. So this will be a corner. As we are planning to wind this one down. And it looks like there is an injured player on the turf. And it looks like he's trying to get back to his feet here. As we see it again. But that might have been Balogun. Absolutely, it was Balogun. Oh, I see. The Academy Award for best block right there. As Flo will get a yellow. As it looks like we have ourselves a little brouhaha here. As Ace Flo slapped, yeah, exactly. Flo slapped him off. As looks like they're treating play as they will pinch and as there's Bielsa. And this has to be one of like his worst defeats as a national team coach. As the U.S. have absolutely dominated. As that ball's going to get headed forward. As that ball's going to get played a little far north. And it's immediately taken away. Here comes the U.S. And they'll have to reset here. As we're pushing the 78th minute now. 5-1 USA. And there's the whistle. As Tessman goes down. As play will restart with the U.S. now holding possession as they try to play this one forward. As here comes the U.S. And here comes Uruguay. That's going to be deflected. Here comes the U.S. now. And here comes Uruguay. Uruguay. Oh, nice. As Arkston tried to make a play on the ball, that gets tipped out. Nice try right there by Arkston. As play will resume. As this will be a throw in for Uruguay. Uruguay. As that is taken away. As this will be played from out of the back here. As here come the United States. As we have about 10 minutes left to play. U.S. leading by 4. That's a nice little slide. Ooh. Aronson. As Morris will be helped off the turf here. As we are now in the 81st minute. As we find out the extent of the damage. And there's Potch. And it looks like it'll be Berhalter, Tessman, and Reem asking questions, as it looks like physios have done a good job. As this will be a U.S. free kick in just a second. As we are waiting for this free kick to be set up here. Man, we are ready. Looks like it'll be Saba taking this free kick here. Tipped and over. As Arson will go collect the ball here. As we are almost ready to go here. As that ball gets whipped in. Good goalkeeping right there to come out for it. And they're going to try to quickly play. That is going to be a throw-in for Uruguay. As we are now in the 84th minute now. As they're going to try to play this forward. Head back out. And there's Matt Freeze. Here comes the U.S. in transition. And here comes the U.S. As there's another whistle. As the U.S. have been playing down a man for quite some time. As here come the U.S. now. As coming out is making a good play right there. As we are now in the 86th minute, 4 minutes to play, plus stoppage. And there's going to be no foul right there. As here come the U.S. And they'll play this one back. As this will be played out. Yeah, 100%. I can agree with this. Yeah, I would agree with this. Very well said. Yeah, and the funny thing about it is what really, when I look at it, they actually had their first team out here minus a couple of their best goal scorers. You know what I mean? You know, no Darwin. But that being said, it's like, you know, that back line and some of their midfield options that they put out there were their number one choices. That ball gets played forward. It just lets you know they belong. As there's a whistle. As we're approaching the 88th minute now. As it looks like Christian Roldan's coming in for Aiden Morris. That was a great goal. That was a great goal to open things off for Berhalter. And we are getting close to the 89th as Aiden Morris comes off. As that ball pops backwards and it'll get played forward and out for a throw-in. As that was Mark McKenzie. as they try to play this forward, and that's going to get tipped right back out. You know, what I actually liked about tonight was the fact that, especially in the first half, they literally just threw caution to the wind. We're able to be on the front foot. We're able to dictate the terms of this match. And when they took their chances, man, they made them pay. That's what you want to see. As that ball will come down, as Uruguay will have the possession, but that's taken back by the U.S. As we're now approaching the 90th minute now. Here come the U.S. As there's the final whistle. As the U.S. absolutely demolish Uruguay 5-1. Unfreaking believable. As they get goals from Sebastian Berhalter to open things up. And then it was a brace by Freeman in the 21st and the 32nd. Diego adds one in the 43rd. And Tanner Tessman will finish the thing off in the 69th minute. Let's go ahead and look at the stats in this one. Before that, I got to read this. We have no business winning 5-1, but it all starts with Poch implementing the type of mentality 100%, without a doubt. And it's, you know, it's not chasing the match either. It's dictating the match. And they started off on the front foot and just made them pay, without a doubt. So let's look at the stats tonight. Overall, Uruguay won the possession battle 52-48. Total shots, U.S. 10, Uruguay 9. Shots on target, 7-2 U.S. Big chances, 3-1 U.S. Accurate passes, 349 for Uruguay, 326 for the United States. Fouls committed, U.S. 10, Uruguay 9. Corners, 7-5 to the U.S. As we look at the shots, shots on target again, 7-2 the U.S. Shots inside the box, 7-5. And the U.S. did a good job of keeping them outside the box as Uruguay had 4 shots outside the box to the U.S.'s 3. Total passing, 419 to Uruguay, 384 for the U.S. Passes in the own half, Uruguay 201, U.S. 171. Passes in the opposition half, 155, 148. Accurate long balls, 27-17 to Uruguay. Accurate crosses, 4-3 to the United States. Throws, 16-12. Touches in the opposition box, 20 for the United States, only 14 for Uruguay. And U.S. had 2 offsides to Uruguay's 1. When you look at the tackle battle, 15-13 Uruguay. Interceptions, 12 for the United States, 7 for Uruguay. 4-3 blocks to the United States. Clearances, 14 all. Keeper saves, 2-1 for Uruguay. Duels. Uruguay won the duel battle, 40-34. They won the ground duels, 28-25. They won the aerial duels, 12-9. And successful dribbles, 4-2 to Uruguay. But most importantly, it doesn't matter the numbers. What matters is the win. And now all of a sudden, we have 4 wins in 5, and this is how we finish 2025 with wins over Paraguay and Uruguay. And God damn it, this is like this was the ultimate dream. Coming into the November window, not having Christian Pulisic, not having some of the big names, and still finding a way to get 2 victories out of this one. And all of a sudden now the United States has nothing but momentum. And as I was saying at the top, it was all about not how you start, but how you finish. And can you finish 2025 a winner? Because if you do, now all of a sudden the groundswell for this team, the momentum for this team is going to be something completely different heading into 2026. And so there's going to be a lot of people, including myself, that are going to be fired up for the March window. Man, it's all off the backs of what we just saw. 2 unbelievable wins in the November window. And the thing that Ace said, I was saying at the top of the show that it really does start with the mentality of this team. And when you're changing the culture and when you're changing the philosophy and when you're changing all these things, it does not happen right away. And me personally, I think it really started with the Gold Cup. I thought we started seeing some unity at the Gold Cup, and I think that kind of carried over into September, October, November. And now all of a sudden, this group is starting to play with a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum. And for me, that is where it starts. And so from that standpoint, job well done to Pochettino and staff, because now all of a sudden the United States are just playing with so much authority. And it's fun to watch now as the United States gets 5 goals, man. Listen, it's Uruguay. A very good team. And oh, by the way, even if Uruguay didn't necessarily have their top 2 goal scorers, it's still Uruguay. It's still a very, very, very good team. And we pumped them for 5 goals today. So unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. My man of the match is probably Alex Freeman. I would probably have to say he had a terrific performance today. The interesting thing was we didn't necessarily have good performances from our strikers today, but that's okay, man. Haji Wright didn't necessarily play all that well. He comes, Flo comes in, and it's a little bit better. But that being said, it's like, when you have that type of contribution, and it's, when you have it with 4 different goal scorers tonight, that's, to me, that is that is so impressive. And it just, what these type of wins do is put so much confidence in the group. And for me, that is the underlying performance. So as we finish 2025, the United States beats Uruguay 5-1 in a November window that features 2 wins. And if you're a fan of this team, this was a dream. 2 very good opponents, and there was a time where when these games got announced, U.S. men's national team fans were just assuming it was going to be 2 L's. But that being said, man, you have to appreciate the job that Pochettino has done, because this was unbelievable, an unbelievable performance, from start to finish. Yep, yeah. The Portugal is trying to get a part of that March window. So obviously that is what's up next for this team. And I am going to be patiently waiting for the March window. I'll just say that. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in today. I want to thank Nate Holloway and Ace, my guy Ace, who stuck by today. Of course, Sam Wise dropped in. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been absolutely fun. Join me tomorrow, by the way, as we play a game of stock up and stock down, followed by World Cup roster prediction show on Thursday. So this should be absolutely fun. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of this upcoming content. It's going to be wild, man. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have a great night. Good night.
Rusted goalposts under fading skies.